holy ones are clothed in glory. Splendor is their dwelling, standing all around your throne. Exalt your holiness alone. Oh, clothe us in righteousness, in glory, splendor. Kavod utiferet, in priestly beauty as a groom, in glory like the sun and moon. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. You shall be unto me a treasure of the King, and the kingdom a priest to me, a holy nation always be. Oh, you shall be unto me a treasure of the King, and the kingdom a priest to me, a holy nation always be. Oh, clothe us in righteousness, in glory, splendor. Kivod utiferet, in priestly beauty as a groom, in glory like the sun and moon. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. Clothe us in a robe of righteousness. Your holy ones are clothed in glory. Splendor is their dwelling, standing all around your throne. Exalt your holiness alone. Oh, clothe us in righteousness, in glory and splendor. Kivod utiferet, in praise the blessing as a groom, in glory like the sun and moon. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. You shall be unto me. You shall be unto me a treasure of the King, and the kingdom of priest to me, a holy nation always be. Oh, you shall be unto me a treasure of the King, and the kingdom of priests to me, a holy nation always be. Oh, clothe us in righteousness, in glory and splendor. Kivod utiferet, in priestly beauty as a groom, in glory like the sun and moon. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. Clothe us in righteousness, in glory and splendor. Kivod utiferet, in priestly beauty as a groom, in glory like the sun and moon. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. Thank you, Abba, that you clothe us in Me'il Tzedakah, a robe of righteousness, in Bigdei Yesha, the garments of salvation. I ask that you'd show us what that means, Lord, in your Torah, that you would weave together your Ruach, your Spirit, and your Torah, and show us what that means, how you see it, what you're trying to communicate to us through it, in the name of Yeshua. Thank you, Abba. You may be seated. We'd like you to subscribe to the Tzion channel, and it's okay for you to make comments under the videos. That's okay. You can do that, and I check them and I respond to them. And we want to all be on the same page. We're trying to get everybody on the same page. And by the way, this is a very, very difficult page to get on. I mean, it's a hard sell. You know, Judaism to believers is a very, very hard sell, and it takes a long, long time to retrain your mind to think, to understand the order, how this works. Because it does work. It's just you got to get your mind wrapped around how it works, and it takes a long, long time. So watch a lot of the videos. Don't just watch one, because it's basically, you know, lifting out one little section out of context. Every teaching is set in a context, and the context is the Torah portion where it is in the Torah. Yes? So each Torah portion is not like a whole new world. Each Torah portion is a continuation of the last Torah portion. So it's a long narrative that weaves a story. So if you didn't see the one before, look at the one before. If you didn't see the one before that, look at the one before that. And that's how you sort of get the idea of what's being communicated over time. And do what Robert does. Go back and look at the Torah portion from years past. Right. The video from years past on the same Torah portion. And that helps to build the narrative that God is trying to build in us. So we are in the last Torah portion of Shemot, of Exodus. I guess I don't need this so much. We're in the last Torah portion of Shemot. And there have been 5 Torah portions in a row where God is teaching and talking about the Mishkan. What does Mishkan mean? What does Mishkan mean? Everybody. Hello? What does Mishkan mean? Tabernacle. Tabernacle. 5 Torah portions in a row. There is nothing else in the Bible that has that many Torah portions about one subject. And by the way, now we're going into Leviticus, which is about the same subject, about the sacrifices in the Mishkan. So it doesn't stop. It's not like we have a break and the movie's over. It just continues about the tabernacle, about the Mishkan. Obviously, this is incredibly important to God. Why? Because everything in the Mishkan is what? A picture of heaven, of heavenly things, right? That's why it's so important. All right, so we're in Shemot chapter 39, and we're going to just read from the whole chapter, basically. Now, from the blue, Techelet, say Techelet. Oh, that was bad. Say Techelet. Techelet. And the purple, which is Argaman, and the scarlet, which is, anybody want to know what scarlet is in Hebrew? Anybody know? No? Okay. And they made finely woven garments for ministering in the holy place. That's what I'm going to teach on, is the Techelet, the Argaman, the Sheni, the scarlet, the worm. Remember the worm, the crushed up worm? Okay. and the finely woven garments for ministering in the holy place, as well as the holy garments, which were for Aaron, just as the Lord established Moshe. He made the ephod of gold and blue. I have that piece of art up now, and right in the center of the symbols of each of the 12 tribes, there is the Hoshen with the 12 stones in it. But you notice there's no metal. It's not a breastplate. It's made out of the blue and the purple and the scarlet and the linen with gold interwoven. So that's why it's that color. And let's see. So he says, make the ephod of gold and blue and purple and scarlet and fine twisted linen. And that Hoshen fits right onto the ephod. Then they hammered out gold sheets. Now this is a trip. They hammered out gold sheets and cut them into threads. Yeah. Can you imagine they didn't have X-Acto blades, right? They didn't have, all the tools we have, and they're cutting gold sheets into threads. Now, when Avram circumcised himself, what does it say he circumcised himself with? Good. Obsidian or flint knife. An X-Acto blade, like a scalpel. It's like a scalpel. An X-Acto blade we use for cutting very delicate things. It's basically a scalpel. A scalpel can be sharpened down to 2 microns. It's like microscopic sharp. Obsidian can be. They hit it and they I can't remember what's that called. Anybody know what that's called? Cherting, I think. I can't remember. And they hit it and they flake off flakes, right? 1 micron in thickness. Obsidian and flint can be brought down to 1. That's sharper than a scalpel. So don't think they didn't have the technology. They did have the technology to cut gold sheets into thread, which I just every time I read that, I just like, wow, that's amazing. So they put these threads and they wove it into the techelet, the purple, the scarlet, and the fine linen. The work of a skilled embroiderer. He made the choshen, the breastpiece. Breastpiece. I never want to hear you say breastplate again, because that's how most of the translations say it. Breastplate. It is not a plate. That's from Rome. Romans wore a breastplate of armor. That's not the same thing. This is made out of material, out of linen and gold and purple and scarlet and blue threads. Yes, it was very soft. And it was folded over like that, like it was long, folded over, and inside that pocket of the choshen, what was put inside the pocket? Very good. Urim and Tumim, which means lights and perfections, which is some sort of stone that was in there that would answer questions. Yeah. Yes. No, thicker than gold leaf. Yeah. So it was square, and they mounted 4 rows of stones on it. They were set in gold filigree. The stones corresponded to the names of the sons of Israel. Therefore, there was 1 stone for each what? Wrong. It didn't say that. You got to pay attention to the words. Listen, he said, they mounted 4 rows of stones on it. They were set in gold filigree. The stones corresponded to the names of the sons of Israel. Therefore, there was 1 stone for each what? Name of the son of Israel. Name of a son of Israel. All right. Let's see. Each with its name of the 12 tribes. Now it says tribes. Then he made the robe of the ephod, woven all of techelet. It's all blue. The robe, the me'il, is all blue from top to bottom. Nothing else in it. It's all techelet. And it is not that color. It's this color. It's sky blue with a little tiny bit of turquoise in it. So it leans toward turquoise. But it's a very, very hard color to match, by the way, because it's just slightly toward turquoise, but not much. All right, then he made the robe of the ephod woven all of techelet, and the opening of the robe was in the center, and they made pomegranates of techelet, purple, scarlet, twisted linen on the hem of the robe. So again, the pomegranates are made out of this same material. And it's basically just thick yarn curved into an oval, basically. And they made bells of pure gold and put the bells between the pomegranates all around the hem of the robe, alternating a bell and a pomegranate all around the hem of the robe. Now, I want you to know that anything I show you, like illustration-wise, pictures, is after years and years and years, decades of research. And I don't look at any Christian sources, zero Christian sources, because every one of them, unfortunately, is incorrect. But even looking at all the Jewish sources, it takes lots and lots and lots of, bringing them all together and comparing back and forth to figure out what's really going on. Because they're not very well worded. They're not in English. They're not American. They don't go, well, look like this. It's very, very esoteric and hard to figure out what they're saying. So it's taken decades to figure a lot of this stuff out. They also made the tunics of finely woven linen, checker work, which I'll show you. Nobody ever shows this in the illustrations, that it was checker work. It doesn't mean like plaid. It means that there's boxes that's impressed. Like they're impressed and then one sticks up. And then it's impressed and one sticks up. Does that make sense? So there's no other colors that make the checkers. It's just the shadow hitting it up, down, up, down, up, down, that makes it look like checker work. Let's see, his sons. And then, now that was for Aaron and his sons, and the head coverings of fine linen, and the decorated head coverings of linen. Did you catch that? The head coverings of fine linen and the decorated head coverings of fine linen. Did you ever see that before? Two different kind of head coverings. That's why we wear these. Decorated. It's a decorated kippah. That's what it is. Plus the regular turban-like thing. And the linen undergarments of fine twisted linen, and the sash of fine twisted linen, and techelet and purple and scarlet, the work of a weaver, just as the Lord had set up for Moshe. Now, why did God set up all this for Moshe? Right, pictures of things where? In heavens, in heaven, in heaven. All right, and they also made the plate of the holy crown, the tzitz, of pure gold, and inscribed it like the engravings of a signet, Kadosh LaAdonai, holiness to the Lord, or Kadosh LaYehovah. And it's called a tzitz, and it's just a little plate right here called a crown that the high priest wore when he wore his high priest garments. Now, we're going to look back at Exodus 28, which is a parallel passage 3 Torah portions ago. Yes, ma'am. Nope. High priests always wore these garments. Nobody else wore them. Which we're going to talk about that. I'm going to address that, Carmen, so you'll see. Yes.
The word sits the same root as tzitzit?
Yes, it is. And I can't figure it out.
So the crown was maybe flowered?
I don't know. I'm not going to say anything because I just haven't done enough research to figure out why in the world it's called a tzitz. I don't know. So, Exodus 28. We're going to go back to 3 Torah portions ago. And it says this: you shall weave the tunic of checkered work of fine linen, and shall make a head covering of fine linen, and you shall make a sash, the work of a weaver. For Aaron's sons you shall also make tunics. You shall also make sashes for them, and you shall make head coverings for them, for kavod and for tiferet. Tiferet. Every morning, we I don't know if you do it, but there's prayer every morning, 2 prayers. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bigvura, who girds Israel with strength. And then it says, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael betifara. Oter Yisrael betifara, who covers or adorns or something Israel with this word, splendor. But a lot of times it's translated as beauty. Like if you look in your Bible, this Exodus 28, 43 or 42, it calls it beauty, but it's really splendor. So what's the difference between splendor and beauty? What do you think the difference is between splendor and beauty? Exactly. The light that goes with it. Now, beauty can just be, you look at something and it's, empirically beautiful. But splendor is different. Splendor means there's light coming off of it. Okay? And every morning we pray, blessed are you, Lord our God, everlasting King, it's crowns, that's what it is, who crowns Israel with splendor. Who crowns Israel with splendor. The light. All right? Why? Why? Because we are the priests. We're the priests. And he says, make these garments to clothe them in glory, kavod, and tiferet. And so what do? Every morning we go, okay, I'm a priest. Crown me with tiferet. In other words, crown me with in this case, it's the turban, mitznefet, the mitznefet, and maybe the tzitz. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. So it's basically saying when we Jews and Gentiles pray this, we're basically saying, I'm a priest. Yes? Make sense? All right. You shall anoint them and fill their hand and make them set apart, holy, so that they may serve me as Kohanim, as priests. You shall make for them linen undergarments. Really important. That's really important. Make for them linen undergarments. If you look at all the illustrations, which I have done, of the altar of sacrifice, 90%, there's a couple that aren't like this, but 90% of the illustrations by non-Jewish sources always have steps that go up to the altar. Huh? No. Because in the 10 commandments that we read 5 weeks ago, remember what it said at the very end of the 10 words? Anybody remember how the 10 words ends? No? It says, you shall make an altar for me of hewn stones. You shall not put stairs on it, so that your nakedness will be uncovered as you go up on the altar. That's how the 10 words end. So it was really important that there was a ramp and that they had linen undergarments. Yes. And remember, these are a picture of what? What's in heaven. Whatever is in heaven, whatever priests are in heaven. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. What does that mean, there's priests in heaven? That's what I'm going to talk about. We talked a little bit about it last week. So these are the things that are in this Torah portion, the pictures that are in this Torah portion. First thing is the oil, the shemen zait for the menorah. Second thing is the garment of the high priest, 8 garments. Skirt, the ephod, the breastpiece, the choshen, the robe, the me'il. What's the robe? What color is the robe? Everybody, what color is the robe? Blue. Forehead plate, the tzitz, the tunic, the katonet, the turban, the mitznefet, the sash, the avnet, and the underpants, the michnas. 8 garments of who? No, the high priest. 8 garments. This is only the high priest. That's why it has the breastpiece, the choshen, and the tzitz. So this is only the high priest. Then, number 3 is the garments of the ordinary priests. How many? Half as many, 4. Just the tunic, the turban, the sash, and the underpants. That's it for the priests. Then the garments of the high priest on Yom Kippur. How many are there? That's it. There's no me'il with the bells and the pomegranates on Yom Kippur. So the whole mythology of he would go into the holy place and tinkle, 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 they'd hear bells, and if they stopped hearing them, which, by the way, they're 312 feet away from him, behind 2 veils that thick. And they're going to hear tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. And so when the bells stop tinkling, they pull him out by a rope. This is absolutely ridiculous. He wasn't even wearing the me'il with the bells. He only wore 4 garments of white on Yom Kippur. Does that answer your question, Carmen? Okay. Number 5 is the altar of incense. I don't really like this model. That's from the Temple Institute. Maybe it's right. I don't know, but I don't love it. I don't know why. There's something about it that bothers me. I think it's the decoration on it, but I don't know. But what do I know? So that's the altar of incense. And then the washstand, the kior. And again, 90% of illustrations are wrong. In a non-Jewish source, they always have like a basin like that, and you can see the priest, washing his hands or something. Totally wrong. It's like that. These are spigots at the belly, and the thing is this tall. It's this tall. It's as tall as a man, so that when the man walks up, he sees his face in that mirrored part. So it's very, very different from anything that anybody else has. And then the anointing oil, which is called the mishchat, and then the incense, which is the ketoret, which goes on the altar of incense. Now, these are the pictures, the last pictures of the year. These are the last pictures of the year. Last Torah portion of Exodus, last pictures in the Mishkan. So let's talk about the garments. You want to turn the lights off so you can see it better? Now maybe you can see the choshen better. It's big. There's the choshen. It's pretty, isn't it? So it's got the blue, the purple, the scarlet, the white, and the gold interwoven into the material. And there's the gold filigree settings, and then this one stone for each what? Son of Israel and tribe. Remember, it then said tribe. Okay. This is as accurate as I can get. I've been working with this illustration now for 6 solid years. Yes, I keep changing it because I keep learning. So, and by the way, doing these illustrations is really, really difficult. So I had the ephod, this is the ephod, this apron kind of thingy. I had the ephod right, except it was too far back. You could barely see it on this side. In fact, I may have to bring it in even more. Right, I'll do it next year. Here's the sash. Here's the choshen. Here's the me'il, top to bottom. Here's the bells and pomegranates underneath. And here is the ketonet, the checkered work. And here's the mitznefet, the turban, and the tzitz. No, look how big that is. Okay, 30 cubits long. That's 45 feet long. Now, all the rabbis don't agree on this. You got to understand, in all the Jewish sources, they present 2 or 3 or 4 different opinions from the words in the Torah. And you have to synthesize them together. And for instance, on the sash, some rabbis say, no, it was 15 cubits long. And then they give a verse to prove it. And the original guy says, no, I say 30 because, and he gives a verse to prove it. And then another rabbi will say, well, no, they slung it over their shoulder. And another rabbi will say, right shoulder or left shoulder? Well, it says in the Torah, and they give a verse. Okay, so it's very complicated. And all the details are important. Why are they important? Because it's a picture of what's in heaven. That's why it's important. Yes?
When we read, it said the opening was in the front. So what
opening of what?
The garment.
No, it said the opening was in the middle. That was the me'il. That was the neck opening. No, it said middle. And it's chetzi in the middle. Now, here is a close-up of the head. And the reason I have this is because there's lots of questions about the mitznefet. Lots of questions. And all the illustrations in Judaism are different. But they all have a couple things in common. Number one, gesund. It's tall. The mitznefet on the priests and the high priest is tall. It goes up high. The other thing that they have in common that they all agree on is that the cord of techelet, of blue, connects on the top and goes whoop all the way over the head. And the other one connects to the right and left and goes that way. And then you tie it in the back. Other than that, it's sort of up for grabs what it looked like.
There's no way that the checkered term would be the natural makeup of a linen.
That's right. It's not. It can't be. So what they did was they had like a stamp, and they would bam, hit it, bam, bam. And then they'd flip it over and bam, bam in between. So it'd be like a checkerboard. You'd have sticking up, sticking down, sticking up, sticking down. And when the light hit it, it looked like this, like checker work. It makes sense? That's the best I could do, as far, at least so far in my illustrations. So, garments of the priests, it has the sash made from the 4 colors. Garments of the high priest on Yom Kippur, it's all white. Everything's white.
Would that be the same length?
Yep, same length. By the way, this sash, King James, it's funny. In Revelation, when John sees a priest in heaven, it says, and he was girt about the paps with a golden sash. Do you know what that means? He was wrapped around the breast with a gold. That puts it way up here. Bad. It came up, it's like a sash. Like on Purim next week when we wear sashes and you go around and around and around, it's about that big. I don't know what you're saying. Like a cummerbund. Yeah, like a cummerbund. Girt about the paps.
Would the sections be all the same color or different colors?
Blue, gold, purple, scarlet, white. Okay. Now, I'm going to keep hammering this home because this is what's important about it. This is why we spend so much time on this. The tabernacle of witness is called the tabernacle of witness. What does witness mean? Testimony. Tell what you've seen. Yeah? Okay, that's what the tabernacle does. It tells what it's seen. Well, what's it seen? Heaven. And so when we look at it, it's supposed to teach us and preach to us everything about heaven. So why are there so many questions in the world about heaven? Because it's Jewish. And who's going to go there? And that's as simple as I can make it. The reason that nobody will learn this stuff is because it's Jewish. It's just Jewish. And who needs that? And I mean, you're not like that because you love to study, but I got news for you. 99% of the world is not going to know what heaven is like because it's too Jewish. They're not going to go there. I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. We deal with this all the time, and it has to be said. So, which are they? When I say they, I mean this thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures. What are they? Are they a judgment, a testimony, or a statute? No. All of them together are the Mishkan of Edut, testimony. It's all a testimony. Right. Hebrews 9 says, for when every word had been spoken by Moshe, he took the blood of calves and goats with water, scarlet wool, and hyssop, and sprinkled. Now you got to pay attention to the details. He sprinkled the book itself. What book? What has he written? By the time he makes the covenant with Israel, what has been written? No.
The 10 words?
The 10 words and, there you go, 53 mishpatim, 53 judgments. So there's 63 things. That's all he's written at this point. And that's what's in the scroll right now. Yes? So he gets the scroll of that, and it's sprinkled with these things, water, scarlet wool, and hyssop, and the people. The people were sprinkled with these things. In the same way, he sprinkled the Mishkan, all right? That means every detail of the Mishkan, every detail was sprinkled with these things, along with the people and the book, the scroll, and all the vessels of ministry. Now, here's what just thrills me every time I read it. It was necessary for the copies of the things in heaven to be sprinkled with this stuff. List for me the copies of what's in heaven. What was sprinkled? Wait, in order. What was sprinkled?
Tabernacle, the vessels and the
Okay, in order. What was sprinkled? The tabernacle. Okay, hold on. That means the tabernacle is a copy of what's in heaven. Yes? What else was sprinkled? The vessels, that's the tabernacle. What else? Oh, okay, we got to go back here. He sprinkled first. Okay, the Torah is a copy of. Right. Think about that. The Torah, the genealogies, like the underwear of the priests, the genealogies, all the stuff that nobody likes to read in Leviticus, that's in the Torah. And all of that is a copy of what's in heaven. That's why it's important. And what else did he sprinkle?
The people.
Okay. What people?
The Jews.
And the Gentiles that were with him. Why? Because they are what? They're a copy of what's in heaven. The Jewish people. It doesn't say he sprinkled Africans and Puerto Ricans, right? He sprinkled only the Jews and the Gentiles that joined Judaism. That's it. Only that. Only those people are a picture of what's in heaven. Period. Do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't mean Jews go to heaven. It means every Jew, if you look carefully and if you listen carefully, will show you what heaven is like. Because the Jew is a picture of what's in heaven.
I have such a difficulty with the word, the law, because Yeshua is the word.
Well, okay, not law. Forget law. Torah.
Or law, but the word, or the 10 words, or he is who gave it, it is he who is.
Yes, but it's much, much, much bigger than that. I mean, you have to think about I know what you're saying, by the way. I get what you're saying. What you have to do is think about the details. The underwear. How did Jesus become the underwear of the priest? I mean, just think of it, real super ridiculously simple. The underwear of the priest is in the Torah. Yes? Yeshua became the underwear of the priest? It doesn't say anything about righteousness. Did Yeshua become the underwear of the priests? Okay, well, hold on. I say yes. I say yes.
The clothes of righteousness.
Okay, but we got to think about the details. Here's another one. The Mizrach, which is a vessel shaped like conical shaped. It's not shaped like a cylinder. It's shaped like that. So you cannot set it down. The Mizrach is used to catch the blood of the animal in a sacrifice, right? And it's shaped like that, so you can't set it down so the blood doesn't die. So is the Mizrach a picture of Jesus? This is what I'm saying. You have to think about it, right? There's millions of details like that. Millions of them. And they're not all as simple as it's a picture of Yeshua.
Well, except that when he was crucified and he was speared and his blood came out.
Where's the Mizrach that catches the blood? You see, there's so many details that, remember, every one of those details, and there's millions of them, is a witness. In other words, it will talk to us. Like, think of a court case, and you have the Mizrach up on the stand. All right, Mizrach, talk to us. Tell us what you saw. All of them are not going to say something as simple as, I'm a picture of Yeshua. They're just not. There's so many more details. So we cannot make it as simple as that. We have to try to find what they're saying to us without imposing what we know on what they're going to say. Just like talk, man. What are you going to say? And just let it talk.
We just haven't studied and learned about
Yeah.
it to know how it shows itself.
Right. So we're only looking at one of those pictures today. Just one, which is the garments. That's it. And of course, there's a lot of details in that, but we're only picking that one thing. But I don't want you all to miss this, because most people miss this. If you're a Jew, you're a picture of heaven. If you're a Gentile studying Judaism, doing Judaism, in the camp of Judaism, you are then a picture of what's in heaven. You're then in that group that got sprinkled with the blood. Does that make sense? That's a huge, amazing thing. It's an amazing thing.
That's what connects humanity, is blood.
Yeah, it is. Okay. They're all a copy of heaven itself. All right, so here's some priests doing some stuff. Here's some priests, and they're offering. These are modern day pictures, by the way. These are pictures from in the Temple Institute. They are practicing to do the priestly duties. Here's some priests, and by the way, they have to be priests. They have to be Kohanim. By the way, I've seen pictures of 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old priests who've already started training. It's awesome to see. They're offering the Bikurim, the first fruits. Here's not a photograph, obviously, an illustration of priests in the temple playing on 2 different kinds of harps. Here's priests blowing the silver trumpets, the Hatzatzrot. What are the Hatzatzrot a picture of? Something in heaven. It's not as simple as just Yeshua. There's all kinds of different doctrines that these things preach. And here is, what is this the garments of? No, not high priest. Priest, regular priest. And here's why it's important. Exodus 19, now then, if you will indeed hear my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be my own treasure among all peoples. You will be my own treasure among all the peoples. In other words, you're the only ones from all the peoples that are my special treasure. That's it. Nobody else. For all the earth is mine, but you will be to me a kingdom of priests. And this is a very problematic thing. Why is it problematic? Because you can't have a king priest. Kings were from what tribe? Judah. Priests were from what tribe? You got to keep them separated. Except for the fact that they didn't stay separated. From Genesis all the way through Revelation, genealogically, the head of the tribe of Levi intermarried with the head of the tribe of Judah. Over and over and over and over again. And I've recorded it in a book called the Judah-Levi Link. So that there can be a kingdom of priests that are both king and priest, which Yeshua was. He was a king priest. Well, God wanted all the Jews to be king priests. Because remember, he's only saying this to Israel. In a holy nation, these are the words that you shall speak to Bnei Israel, the sons of Israel. The sons of Israel among all the earth are pictures. They were supposed to be God's priests. Does that make sense? So why did he change his mind and go with only the sons of Aaron as the priests? All of Israel were supposed to be priests. Why did he go, let's scrap that idea and go with just the sons of Aaron? Right, because of the Egel Zahav, the golden calf. At that point, when Moses on earth spent 40 days and 40 nights praying for Israel, God changed his mind. After a long time, and 255, I believe it is, beggings that Moses did. And God changed his mind and said, okay, I'm not gonna kill all of Israel, Moses, just because of what you're asking. I'm not gonna kill them all and start over with you. We'll keep these guys, but only the sons of Aaron, because he stood up. He and his kids stood up against the golden calf. You only know that later on. It sounds like he went along with it. But later on it says he and his sons stood up, and they were the ones who went and killed the 3,000 people that God said to kill. All right. So we're going to get so detailed. We're going down to the thread level. And it is amazing. This is an amazing picture. So here's what Rashi said about these threads. Now remember, most of them show up in the garment of the high priest. Here's the garments of the high priest. They show up in the ephod. This is the back part folding over to the front of the ephod. Here's the ephod. Here's the sash. Here's the choshen. And all of that has all these colors. And here's what Rashi said: of gold, blue, purple, and crimson, and fine twisted linen. These 5 kinds were twisted into each thread. Each thread. 5 colors went into each thread. The workers flattened the gold into a sort of thin plate and cut cords out of them, out of the plates, and spun them, 1 thread of gold with 6 threads of blue, and 1 thread of gold with 6 threads of purple, similarly with the crimson, similarly with the linen, and for the threads of all the kinds were doubled 6-fold, and 1 thread of gold was twisted into each one. Afterwards he would twist them all together. Thus their threads were doubled into 28. This is explained in Tractate Yoma 72 and is derived from the following verse in Exodus. They flattened out the sheets of gold, cut cords out of them or threads out of them to work the gold into the blue and the purple, etc. We learned that a thread of gold was twisted with every kind of thread. So this is an illustration. I started with an illustration from that book I showed you last week called The Mishkan and the Holy Garments. Woo! What an amazing book. Amazing book. Horrible illustrations. Fantastic book. All right. So I started with the illustration and then I added color and tried to really figure out what was going on. And I think I got it figured out. Gold strip, white. Gold strip, purple. Gold strip, scarlet. Gold strip, techelet, blue. And then all those were braided together. And that's what was the yarn. Okay? So how many threads are in each color?
6.
How many threads are in each color?
6. Not 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the gold. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got a little wanky there, plus the gold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should have 6. Plus, so I didn't do that good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's supposed to have 6 also. So I messed up the illustration. It's 6 color, 1 gold. So there's 7. Okay, does that make sense? I'm going to have to fix the illustration. But it's supposed to be 6 of each color. So why 6? Why 6? Why 6? You know why? That's how you say linen. That's how you say linen. Shesh. Shesh is linen. It's also 6. It's the same word. So that's why there's 6 of each linen of the color. Does that make sense? Keep it simple. But it's a picture. And that's what I want to talk about. Why 6? Why does he make 6 of all these things? Checker work is the linen tunic, and make a cap of linen, and make a sash of embroidery work. So what it says in Hebrew is b'shibatzta, which is the checker work. B'shibatzta hakatonet shesh, and make the checker work of the linen tunic, the shesh tunic. What is shesh? 6 or linen. And make a sash of embroidery work. Mitznefet shesh, va'avnet ta'aseh, that means make, ma'aseh, and make rokem. So it's saying make all that stuff out of shesh, out of linen. Make the mitznefet and the me'il and all of it out of linen, which is shesh. So here's what Rashi says. For Aaron's sons you shall make tunics, these 4 garments and no more. A tunic, a sash, the hats, which is the same as the cap, and the pants. 4 garments. What are they made out of? Shesh. Let's say shesh. So all the garments of the priests are made from shesh. They're made from 6. Just to keep it super simple, all right? The linen vestments is what it's called. The 6 garment. So you're reading in Hebrew and it goes, we're going to talk about I forgot how to say clothing. Ropa. We're going to talk about the ropa shesh. It'll say we're going to talk about the shesh garments. And you don't know if it's saying the 6 garments or the linen garments because it's the same thing. It's in the song we sang, Yesha. Yesha. Look on there and tell me what garment is. I completely went blank. So it's the linen garments, but it's also the 6 garments. Big day. Thank you. Big day.
Not a small day.
Right? Big day is garments. Okay, but look. There aren't 6. How many of there are the regular priests? 4. How many are there the high priests? 8. There's never 6. Never. Right? But they're called the 6 garments. Why are they called the 6 garments? Because they're linen and because of the 6 threads of each color. This is a picture. It's setting us up to go, well, that doesn't make sense. It's got to be a picture. Because, yes, because on the surface, it's wrong. It's wrong. Like God says, look, the 6 garments of the high priest. And you're like, there's 8. And then God says, look, the 6 garments of the regular priest. And you go, it's 4. So it's got to be something else. Does that make sense? That's how we know when we're finding a... Let me say this again, because you look confused. Hold on. This is how we know when we're seeing a picture in the Bible. You don't have to guess, because it makes no sense. It makes 0 sense on the surface. Like, it can only be one of 2 things. Number 1, God is lying or ignorant, and he got it wrong. It has to be. Or it's something else. It means something else. It has to be. That's how we know when we're seeing a picture. Because on the surface, it's like, no, that's not true. So it's got to be a picture.
So what are the 4 things that are off the table?
Well, let's find out.
So the gold never counts. It's only the colored threads that make up the 6. The gold is just
Right.
like a binding.
The gold makes it, hold on. The gold makes it 7. That's why it's a picture of heaven. The gold makes it into 7, which is why it's like, what it's doing is God is sprinkling the picture into it and go, look, that's not really that, that's that. With the gold, he's like throwing little sprinkles of gold in there to go, that makes it 7, like heaven. Does that make sense? Okay, but there's way, way more to it than that. All right, so why does he say make it 6? Hebrews 8, 4 through 5. We did this last week. If Yeshua were on earth, he wouldn't be a priest. Why? Right. Say it again. Wrong tribe. Right? If Yeshua were on earth, he wouldn't be a priest. Why wouldn't he be a priest? Because he's from Judah, not Levi. Yes? Since there are those who do offer according to Torah, in other words, from the tribe of Levi, from the house of Aaron, who serve unto the example. What serves unto the example and shadow? The priests. Now, if you read it in your Bibles, it reads as if it's saying the priests serve the example and shadow of heavenly things, which is the tabernacle. But that is not what it says in Greek. And I have the Greek here so you can see it. Who any to example and shadow are offering divine service of the celestial ones. That's what it says in Greek. So what it's saying is, who serve unto the example and shadow of the celestial things, the heavenly things. Just as was said by God when he was about to wreck the Mishkan, you better make sure you make it exactly according to the picture that you were shown. Yeah? Why? Because it's a picture of what's in heaven. And if you get one of the pictures wrong, right, it preaches the wrong thing. Now, I've been living with this fact for 40 years, and you'd think over time I would stop being frustrated by it. I'm only more frustrated by it. That now we have the internet, and anybody can go on the internet and type in, give me a picture of the laver, and they're all wrong. Give me a picture of the beged shesh, the garments of linen of the priest, and they're all wrong. Give me a picture of the high priest garments, and they're all wrong. This is why it bothers me, because it's a picture of heaven. So, what does that mean? That means that they're not going to the Jews to seek the right picture, because only the Jews have the right picture. And I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over again. It's just a truth. It's a hard truth, but it is a truth. Only the Jews were sprinkled with that blood. They are a picture of what's in heaven. Period. Gentiles are invited to come along with that. But the truth is, only the Jews were sprinkled with the blood. And if the Gentiles were like, hey, I want in on that, they're like, yeah, baby, come on. Come get sprinkled. And you can be a picture of what's in heaven too. But you better be like us. You better act like us, talk like us, do what we do. Yes? Because we're mirroring what's in heaven. Mirroring what's in heaven. So I know it's a hard truth, but this is the truth. That if you're a Jew, your responsibility is to do the things in Judaism so the world can understand God and understand heaven. Because we serve unto the example and shadow as we're offering divine service of what's in heaven. That's why it's so important the details be done properly. So, what does that mean? Priests on earth? Why did God put priests on earth? Because there are priests in heaven. Now, this is another, little wrinkle in doctrine that you need to think about. If you talk to most believers and you talk about atonement or offerings in heaven, they immediately go to Hebrews chapter 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they go, Yeshua is making offering in heaven. It says that. Yeshua is making offering in heaven. It doesn't say there's one priest in heaven. Right? How many priests in heaven are there? Anybody know?
24 courses?
Very good. There's 24 courses of priests. We did this last week. There's 24 courses of priests in heaven. It doesn't talk about the high priests here. It talks about the priests. If Yeshua were on earth, he wouldn't be a Cohen, a priest, singular priest, because there are those who offer according to the Torah, who serve as the example. They, though plural, serve as the example and shadow of heavenly things. So there's many, 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 many priests in heaven. Can't tell you how many, but I can tell you there's 24 courses or orders of them. Yes? So why don't people ever talk about what they're doing? Because they don't know. No, it's not so much ignorance. It's just that nobody ever talks about the priests as a picture. They think all the priests were a picture of Yeshua. They are not. They're a picture of the priests, plural, in heaven. So this is a really, really important concept for you to understand. And it starts with this. Everything in Judaism is a picture to learn about heavenly things, even the priests, plural. Now let's talk about angels. Because if you say, okay, what's in heaven? Everybody says angels, right? And then, again, if you go on the internet and you type in, show me a picture of an angel, you are not going to see this and you're not going to see this. You'll find this by sifting through 400,000 pictures that all have girl angels with long hair. If you don't believe me, do it yourself. Just type, Google images, angels. And 98% of those pictures are female angels with long hair. None of them have beards. You know why this one is right? Because it's from the Mormons. And they've got a whole other set of doctrines. But they do angels pretty good, I gotta tell you. This is a sculpture by Leonard Baskin. I love this sculpture. This is an angel. Yeah, well, that's sculpture. I mean, it's supposed to show you the massiveness of the body. So this is pretty cool. But it's going to be hard for you to change your mind about what an angel looks like. Unless you think this. Because that's what the angels look like. God said, here, dress yourself and look like that. Why? Because there's a whole bunch of you guys in heaven, and they look like that. They don't look like what you find on the internet. Good. And okay. Okay.
The reason I say that
Oh,
is because it's so specific in the word.
okay.
That's why.
Yeah, the underwear is important. It's a picture too.
Linen is a natural color,
Yeah.
and they do that, and I think that's interesting.
It's
That they copy things and they don't really
they
know.
copy it and then twist it. Right, right. Okay. So, what I want to show you is something very, very simple. Linen is white-ish. Well, yeah, it's white. It's like in the family of white. It's not quite white, but that's what they had, and it was like as white as they could get white. All right? Especially after they cleaned it. And that's why God dressed the priests in linen, because it's white-ish. Remember, shesh means linen and 6, yes? Okay. Shesh, something white. Shush means white or a lily or marble. Same word. Shush means marble, white marble. Bisus is Egyptian linen, and that's shush. Bad. Now, this is a different word for the garments, for the linen. There's 2 different words for linen. One is shesh, and then in the prophets, it uses this word bad. Why bad? It means divided fibers, divided threads. Thus, linen. How many threads of blue? 6. How many threads of purple? 6. How many threads of techelet? 6. How many threads of argamon, purple? How many threads of tola'at sheni, the scarlet? 6. And then you throw the gold in there, makes it 7. So it's divided fibers. It comes from badad, which means to separate or to divide. So I'm going to show you the angels wear white. Why do they wear white? No, it has nothing to do with purity, because the priests on earth wore white. That's it. That's it. I'm just talking about what the look is right now. I'm not talking about meaning, because we haven't gotten there. I'm simply talking about, why did God say, guys on earth, priests on earth, wear white? Why? Because the guys in heaven wear white. Yes? That's all we see so far. Daniel 10. On the 24th day of the first month, while I was by the bank of the Tigris, I raised my eyes and I looked, and a man dressed in linen. Okay, he's dressed in linen. He's a priest or an angel, whose waist was girded with hidden precious gold. This is a totally different word from regular gold. So why? Because he's not human. He's not human. He's an angel. Really interesting word for gold here. It means hidden or precious. Isn't that interesting? And it was gold, this hidden precious gold of Uphaz, which you see in the book of Genesis. Yeah? His body also was like topaz, his face like the appearance of lightning, so he ain't a human, right? His eyes like flaming torches, his arms and feet like the gleam of burnished bronze, and his voice like the roar of the seas. This is not Yeshua. This is an angel, and he's dressed in linen. Why is he dressed in linen? Because the priests on earth dressed in linen. As a picture of, he's one of the things that it's a picture of. Ezekiel 9, this is really interesting. In chapter 9, 2 through 3, and then all the way to verse 11, it keeps talking about this one man clothed in linen with a scribal kit at his side. You know what a scribal kit is? An X-Acto blade, a turkey feather, a container of ink. No, a container of ink and a ruler, some sort of straight edge. That's what's in the scribal kit of a human on earth. This is an angel with a scribal kit. Isn't that bizarre? A shout came forward, you executioners of the city, each with his weapon of destruction in his hand. And behold, 6 men, or maybe it is 6 angels, but maybe it says 6 men or 6 angels because it's shesh. So maybe it's really linen angels. Maybe. 6 men from the direction of the upper gate facing north. Among them was one man clothed in linen with a scribe's kit at his waist. And they came in and stood beside the bronze altar. Then the glory of God of Israel ascended from the keruv on which it had been to the threshold of the temple. And he called to the man clothed in linen at whose waist the scribal kit. You know what he said to him? He said, get your scribal kit and go mark a symbol on the forehead of everybody who I'm not going to kill. They were priests. And he said, go mark them. Those are the ones I'm not going to kill. I'm going to kill everybody else. And that was Babylon coming to kill them all. Ezekiel 10, then behold, in the expanse that was over the heads of the cherubim, something like a sapphire stone in appearance, looked kind of like a throne, appeared above them. And he spoke to the man clothed in linen and said, enter between the whirling wheels. Do you remember the description of the whirling wheels? How big were they? High and lifted up and exalted and lofty and full of eyes all around. And they were on fire. Okay? And he says, I want you to enter in between those things. That's bizarre. Under the cherubim, and fill your hands with live coals of fire. So now you really know it's not a human, right? Because he'd have third-degree burns if he could somehow magically enter into the coals of fire before God's throne next to the cherubim and the whirling wheels, if that was humanly possible. And fill your hands with coals of fire from between the cherubim and scatter them over the city. And he entered my sight. So what I'm showing you is that when it says man clothed in linen, it ain't a man. What is it? It's an angel, which is a priest. Yes? There's priests on earth. Why? As a picture of a priest in heaven. So here's the 8 garments of the high priest. The skirt or apron, ephod, the breastpiece, the choshen, the robe, the me'il, the forehead plate, the tunic, the ketonet. That's the only one that's linen. That is white linen. So when you see these, man clothed in linen, you don't know if it's a priest or a high priest because he's got the ketonet also. It's just got other garments on top of it. All right, so here's some more. Angels wear white. Revelation 1:12 through 13. I turned to see the voice speaking with me, and I saw 7 golden menorot. This is in heaven. Why are there 7 golden menorahs in heaven? That's it? No. No and no. Because each menorah represents one of the congregations. We're told that in the passage. Each menorah represents one of the congregations he's talking to. He says, I turned to see the voice speaking with me. I saw 7 golden menorahs, and in the middle of the menorah, the menorot, one like a son of man, clothed in a robe. Which one is that? What's the me'il? What's the robe? What color is the robe? No, it's blue. It's blue. Techelet. The robe is all blue. It's all blue. So we know who this is. What is he? What is this guy? He is a high priest. He is a high priest in heaven. Might be Yeshua, might not. No, this is in Revelation. No. Many prophets are called Son of Man. You missed the point here. You missed the point. He's clothed, this guy who's on fire like the Son of Man, he's clothed in a me'il. Who wears a me'il? Only the high priest. So we know that this individual is a high priest in heaven. It might be Yeshua, it might not. We don't know yet. And the me'il was reaching to the feet and wrapped around, girt about the paps, around the chest with a golden sash, an avnet. Why would it say a golden sash? What color was the sash? It's got white, purple, red, blue, and gold. That's why it's saying gold. Here's why. Remember when we talked about the 8 garments of the high priest and the 4 garments of the regular priest? You know what it calls the 8 garments of the high priest? Golden vestments. Why? Because it's got gold woven in throughout the whole thing. I mean, look at, they've got the ephod. The regular priests don't have that. So there's gold all over this thing. All over it. It's got gold woven in it. So it's called the golden vestments. So again, we know he's a high priest. Yes? Because he's got that sash, the avnet, got gold in it. And his head and his hair were white like wool, like snow. That doesn't mean he had white hair. That means that it was like lit up. And his eyes were like a flame of fire, lit up. And his feet were like burnished bronze, lit up when it had been heated to a glow in a furnace. And his voice was like the sound of many waters. It might be Yeshua. It might be, as high priest. But it might not. All right? The reason I'm saying it might not, can anybody think of scripture where there's more than one high priest? And don't think about the New Testament. It's not what I'm talking about. More than one high priest doing priestly duties at the same time. You can't think of any? No? Nomi, you can't think of any? No scriptures where there's more than one high priest? No? Really? Eileen, can you think of any verses in the Bible where there's more than one high priest? Wow. Okay. Listen, no, I'm talking about specifically by name, more than one high priest. It gives their name. No. David had 2 high priests. Remember? Zadok and Ahithophel. Remember? And then their children, it names 2 high priests. And then into Ezra, Nehemiah, Malachi, it names 2 high priests. And that was continued so that by the time you get to the New Testament, what were the names of the 2 high priests? Caiaphas. Oh, come on. And Annas. Now you think. Yes, Caiaphas and Annas. Right. Why? Why are there 2 of them? That started all the way back with David. So that's why I say it might be Yeshua, but it might not. There are two high priests.
That's
It- Yes, it is. I don't want to lose you.
Would it be Moses and Elijah?
No. They're not priests.
Are there more than two?
No, two.
Only two.
I'll give you a hint. There's a verse that says, and next to the menorah, there were two sons of fresh oil, two messiahs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Zechariah chapter 4.
That makes sense.
Zechariah chapter 4. Okay, there's always two high priests. Always. All right?
Since whether there's the 12 other priests?
Yes. Revelation 4. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't finish this. Yeah, we did. Revelation 3. I'm sorry. Around the throne, but you have a few people in Sardis who have not soiled their garments, and they will walk with me in.
White,
Why white?
linen.
Why? Why will they be in Shesh? Why will they be in linen?
Because they're gonna be priests.
Because they're going to be priests. I want all of Israel to be a kingdom of priests. That's what he's saying. They are worthy. The one who overcomes will be clothed the same way, in white garments. Ketonet. That's the ketonet. The checkered work. White. Yes? Yes?
Yep.
So this is going back to Exodus 19 when he says, I want all of Israel to be a kingdom of priests. That's what he's saying. And I will not erase his name from the book of life. Revelation 4. Around the throne were 24 thrones. We did this last week. And on the thrones I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white garments. So they're priests, and golden crowns on their head. Yes, they're high priests. 24 of them. Not just one. Not just two. That's right. Now they have the tzitz. Okay? So if you know the garments, you can start picking out things of what's really going on in heaven. You see what I'm saying? Out of the throne came flashes of lightning and sounds and peals of thunder. Revelation 7:9. I looked and behold a great multitude. I can feel the confusion. What is the priesthood of Melchizedek? And we're not talking about the Mormons here. What's the priesthood of Melchizedek? It's priest kings. Because remember, Melchizedek was a priest of El Elyon, and he was the king of Shalem, which is Jerusalem. How can he be a priest and a king? Because there's a whole bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. We got 24 here. There's more. Millions of them, maybe. That's the believers. We are going to be priests according to the order of Melchizedek. God wants all of his people to be priest kings, a kingdom of priests. Yeah? So it's not just a tiny thing, it's a huge, huge thing. Yeah. Revelation 7, I looked and behold a great multitude that nobody could count. From every nation and tribe, peoples and language, and they stood before the throne clothed in white robes. So is this the Me'il or the Ketonet? Clothed in white robes. Okay, but it says robes. Robes is Me'il. So we got a problem here. You know why? It's Greek. This isn't Hebrew, it's Greek. It's not robe, it's garment. So they were clothed in white. It just should say garment. So this is the Ketonet. And palm branches in their hands. And one of the elders spoke, saying to me, those who are clothed in the white garments, in the Ketonet, who are they? And I said to him, you know. That's probably how we would all answer. You know. And he said, these are the ones who come out of the great trouble, the birth pangs. And they're clothed in white garments, like priests, wearing Ketonet, right? These are the ones who go in the resurrection. Revelation 19. Let's rejoice and be glad and give glory to him because the marriage of the Lamb has come. And his bride has prepared herself. It was given to her to clothe herself in fine linen. Why? To be a priest king in heaven. Let's see. Clothe yourself in front, bright and clean. For the fine linen is the righteous act. What are righteous acts? Mitzvot, Judaism. Not the ones who do Judaism. I said, what are righteous acts? What are righteous acts? Like, how do you know when somebody's done a righteous act? Because they did Torah, right? Okay, simple. Look what it says. It was given to her to clothe herself in fine linen, bright and clean, for the fine linen, the bisus, the shesh, the six, is the righteous acts of the holy ones, which is Judaism. Does that make sense? So why do we do Judaism? No, it doesn't make us righteous. To be a picture of heaven. It doesn't make us righteous. We're still in this, bag of garbage that we carry around. So, yeah, it's righteous acts, not righteous people. It's righteous acts, which is Judaism, because they're pictures of heaven. That's all. That's all. And all those people in heaven, they're the ones dressed in Judaism, dressed in the shesh, that are going to come with Yeshua to destroy the earth.
Oh, that's going to be on Yom Kippur.
Yes. And I saw heaven opened. This is on Yom Kippur. And behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it is called Emunah and Emet, faithful and truth. And in righteousness he judges and wages war. His eyes are a flame of fire, and on his head are many crowns. Many crowns? What does that mean? Isn't that weird? Many crowns. No, it's one dude. It's one guy wearing many crowns? That doesn't bother you? What is that in Judaism? Okay, this is all I'm going to say about it because I haven't done the research. This is as far as I can go. I believe that's why it's called a tzitz. A flower, flowers, a little flower. I believe that's why it's called, because there's a bunch of them. Now, I haven't done the research on it. That's all I'm going to say about it. You can do the research to find out why it says many crowns, but that's as far as I've gotten, okay? That's all I want to say. So then it says, his eyes are a flame of fire, on his head are many crowns, and he has a name written on him which nobody knows except himself. He's clothed with a robe. Is this the me'il or the ketonet? What color is the me'il, the robe? Blue. What color is the ketonet? White. White. Right. Dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies, the tzvaot, which are in heaven, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, were following him on white horses. Now, here's why I'm saying, is it a me'il or a ketonet? Because in Isaiah chapter 65, verses 1 through 3, it's a parallel passage, 64, 1 through 3, it's a parallel passage to this event. And it describes it the same exact way. Only it says that his white garments are spattered with blood. So, the white garment, what is it? The ketonet. And the me'il is what color? So, this could be a me'il or a ketonet or both, because he is certainly the high priest. Yes?
Yes.
He's got a crown on his head. He's got the tzitz. It's got to be a high priest. His clothes, the robe, it's dipped in blood. His name is called the Devar Elohim, the Word of God. And the armies, which are in heaven, clothed in fine linen, were following him. What is the fine linen? The shesh, white and clean, a picture of? Thank you. What is the white and clean linen a picture of? Judaism, the mitzvot, the righteous acts of the holy ones. The righteous acts, what we do that's righteous. And how do we know it's righteous? Because it's Judaism. Very simple. Very, very simple. Now, you might be doing a righteous act that's Jewish and you don't even know it. It doesn't mean it's not in Judaism. It just means you don't know. That's all. You just got to go find out where it is. Okay, so from his mouth comes a sharp sword, so that with it he may strike down the Gentiles, and he will rule them with a rod of iron, and he treads the winepress of the fierce wrath of El Shaddai. That's a direct quote of Isaiah 64, 1 through 5. And on his robe, now it says robe. That's what is the robe? What is the robe? No, what is the robe in Hebrew? Me'il. Me'il. What color is the me'il? Blue. Now it says robe, and on his thigh he has a name written, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. I put how here, but I don't even want to go into it. So now we're back to Exodus 28:1. You shall make holy garments for Aaron, your brother, for kavod and for tiferet, for glory and for splendor. Why splendor? Because it's a picture of what's in heaven. Make sense? Deuteronomy 26, to make you, Israel, high above all nations. If that bothers you, you need to find out why it bothers you. Becca, can you get me the music? Do you see what I'm saying? God's desire was to make Israel high above all Gentiles. So what does that mean? Make them pictures of heaven. It doesn't mean I like you better than everybody else, right? It means I'm going to make you into what's high, heaven. People look at a Jew and they go, that's what God's like. That's what heaven's like. And it's not, it's not like, oh, they're so holy. It's like your husband, our friend, David Garber. I looked at him and I saw heaven. You got to know how to see it. It's always Jewish. It's what makes the Jews different from every other person. When I listen to Jewish, horrible, disgusting, vile comedians that are Jewish, I see God. Yeah, I see God. You just have to know how to see it. You have to sift through all the nonsense and just like, what makes that person different from everybody on the planet? They're a Jew. Okay, what is the Jew spark in this person? And then you learn to identify it, and you can see God and you can see heaven. But if you don't know how to see that, if you're thinking of heaven as like sparkly, I don't even know how to describe it, like big columns of Greek columns and sparkly beauty, you're going to miss it. It's Jewish. It's always Jewish. Always Jewish. Because he said, I want to take you Jews and make you higher than all the Gentiles.
But that is exactly why conversely they are so hated.
Yes,
Because
that's why we're so hated. That's right.
Because if the Gentile hasn't come to that knowledge,
That's correct.
then
That's
they will not believe that.
Yeah, that's correct. Some of us call it jealousy, some of us call it stupidity, and there's a lot of different titles for it. But the truth is that they don't see the Jews as like this model of what's in heaven, nor do they want to be around somebody who's a model of heaven, because they feel like they feel bad, they feel inferior, right? So this is a really, really important verse for you to know, especially Jews, to make you, Israel, high above all the Gentiles which he made, in praise and in name and in tiferet. Isn't that cool? And that you may be a holy people to the Lord, just like he said. And here's the bottom line. This is an amazing passage. I just found it. I never saw this before. It's in our prayer book that I'm writing. Well, it's in the prayer book I'm writing because it's in the regular prayer book every morning. He declares his word to Jacob, his statutes and his judgments to Israel. He hasn't dealt this way with any other Gentile. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Hallelujah. I like the way it ends. They have not known Judaism. Hallelujah. Why? Because that means we have. And we get to be the pictures of what's heaven. That's why there's two different words. This is why there's two different words for linen. Shesh, those are the dudes on earth. And Bod, that's the dudes on earth or in heaven. Because all those angels that are described wearing linen, it doesn't say Shesh, it says Bod. That makes sense? So it also uses Bod for the ones on earth, but it never says the ones in heaven are Shesh. So we're Shesh on earth. That's why he made them wear everything made out of Shesh. And in heaven, they're wearing Shesh, but they're wearing Bod too, which is the white, also another word for white linen. Yeah.
And bod, the version in Genesis, it's Lagal, separation of light from darkness. So
Yes.
what we're wearing is that separation.
Yes. We are literally wearing clothes that show that we're separated from the rest of the world. Right. Go. Oh, it's stuck. Oh, there it goes. Woo. Your holy ones are clothed in glory. Splendor is their dwelling. Standing all around your throne, exalt your holiness alone. Oh, clothe us in righteousness, in glory and splendor. Kivodu Tiferet, in priestly beauty as a groom, in glory like the sun and moon. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. You shall be unto me a treasure of the King, and a kingdom of priests to me, a holy nation always be. Oh, you shall be unto me a treasure of the King, and the kingdom of priests to me, a holy nation always be. Oh, clothe us in righteousness, in glory and splendor. Kivodu Tiferet, in priestly beauty as a groom, in glory like the sun and moon. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. Oh, clothe us in righteousness, in glory and splendor. Kavodu Tiferet, in priestly beauty as a groom, in glory like the sun and moon. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. Oh, clothe us in a robe of righteousness. Thank you, Lord, for clothing us in Judaism, clothing us in righteous acts, clothing us in the righteousness of Yeshua, which is seen in all of Judaism. I thank you, Father, that we are going to be priests, priest kings in heaven. Thank you, Abba. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.